The Joe Rogan Experience.
Well, I got to give it to Stallone. He took all the hits and all the bumps, and
Oh, he was an animal.
yeah, I kind of messed his collarbone up, by accident. But he was amazing. I mean, I remember when I was going to go do that film, Vince McMahon Sr. fired me because of that movie.
What?
I'd got the call.
I didn't know there was a senior.
Oh yeah, Vince Sr. That's what I started working for, brother. Yeah, Vince McMahon.
So it's not the Vince McMahon that's an old
No,
guy now.
no.
His dad was the star.
When I first went to New York in '78, Vince McMahon Sr. had a couple of Phil Zacco and a couple partners, and Vinny Jr. had one building, I think, in Cape Cod, and Vince would come in once every 3 weeks. He'd hold a stick like Mean Gene, So when I first started there, 70, and however long I lasted till probably mid-'80s, and I told Vince Sr., I got this crazy call to come out and do a Stallone movie. First, I was in the dressing room, and Gorilla Monsoon gave me the note. I went, yeah, right. I threw it away because, Stallone was like 150 feet tall in the public's eyes, and I saw Rocky 1 and Rocky 2. I was like, oh, my God. So I said, yeah, another wrestling joke, like pooping in my bag or putting lots on my stuff, So I split to Japan for like 8 weeks, and when I came back again to TV again in Allentown, they handed me a Western Union letter, this time from Stallone. So I flew out there and talked with him and got in the ring with him and did a couple things. If you want to hear about that, that's a little different. But
what would you do?
Well, when I went out there, I just had my nose broke in Japan for like the second or third time. And when I went out there, I was so enamored and such a fan of his. He goes, he had a guy with one of those big cameras, old school cameras, when I came in. So I knew I was on camera, so at least I knew that much back then. And so he goes, hey, let's just get in the ring and move around. I had jeans on and cowboy boots. He goes, oh, let's just get in the ring like this. So he goes, I'm going to try to hit you. I said, well, if you want to, you can hit me in the nose, because I saw the camera. I thought it'd be cool if he splattered in my nose. That's how crazy I was when I was
This is right
younger.
after nose surgery?
No, I didn't have nose surgery. It was right after I had my nose broken
Oh, you
in
just
Japan.
had it broken again.
Yeah,
okay.
I flew back to TV.
I'm just assuming you had it fixed.
No. Andre would fix everything for you. He'd just stand behind you with the thumbs and push everything down. But so I got in the ring. He goes, try to hit me, And so when he went to hit me, I just grabbed him. I said, I don't want to hit you. He goes, well, hit me. Give me everything you have. I said, no, brother, you don't want that. I said, there's a certain place I can hit you harder than others, but if I hit you as hard as I can, it's not going to be cool. He goes, well, give me 50%. I went, I really don't want to. I said,
what is going on with Sylvester
No.
Stallone?
Because they were filming this whole thing. Right?
Right.
So I said, well, you try to hit me, I'll grab you, I'll bend you over, and I'll hammer you between the shoulders. And I hit him. I probably gave him 50%, and as soon as I made contact, his face hit my cowboy boots. And he came up, and his lip was bleeding. He said, oh, that's perfect. And so he was all excited, just because I hit him.
What a psycho.
Yeah, and then we got out of the ring, and he goes, you're a fake wrestler. Boxers can kick a wrestler's ass anytime. Get mad. So he wanted me to do an interview, right? So I did, let me tell you something, that whole stick. So he goes, I want you for the film. And I've never had an agent. I've never been in a movie. I don't know anything. He goes, I'll give you $10,000 to do the film. Me being the negotiation genius that I am, I want 15. I want 15 grand. So he gave me $14,000, and I signed whatever.
Oh my God, he bargained with you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I signed.
What the fuck, Sly? You're stealing.
Yeah, so I signed whatever he wanted back in the day, and that was it. But
how rude.
Yeah, but
You
no.
wouldn't even give him the 50? That's some negotiation
but
bullshit right there.
But to go backwards,
Sly.
I had called Vince McMahon Sr. that night from Fall River, Massachusetts, because I was wrestling at a high school in Fall River, Massachusetts. And I called Vince because he was my guy. We were really good friends on top of him helping me, giving me the break, Vince Sr. I called him in Fort Lauderdale and I said, brother, I'm leaving tomorrow to go to L.A. to do this film. He goes, no, you're not. He goes, it's midnight now. You have to be in Charlotte at noon for TV with Crockett, because that's where Flair and all those guys were. He was sending me down to that Southern swing wrestling thing. And I said, no, I told you I'm not going to do that. I said, I'm going to go do this movie. And as soon as I'm done with the movie, I'll come back. He goes, well, don't come back. You're never going to work here again. Never. So I went, okay. I was single at the time, spending 20 to 24 weeks a year in Japan. Had a great hookup in Japan being single with my friends and all the stuff that was going on there, And so I went to Japan, and the movie came out, and all of a sudden, this guy Vern Gagne from Minnesota called me and wanted me to come in there. So that was the place everybody wanted to go. Wrestle in the AWA for Vern Gagne. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Of course, yeah.
4 days a week. He pays you better than any of the promoters. And I just stumbled in right behind this guy, the Crusher. He was like the Hulk Hogan of the Twin Cities and that whole St. Paul, La Crosse, Wisconsin area with Brock Lesnar and Brad Riggins, all those guys live. So Crusher was walking out, I was walking in, and I wouldn't let anybody see my face. My arms were legitimately 24 back then. And I'd throw my arms up and I'd go, hey, if you guys want to see my face, you got to buy a ticket. I was trying to be a bad guy. And I'd do all my interviews with the back to the camera. My back was this wide back then. And they wanted me to wrestle Jesse Ventura. And Jesse Ventura was the one that actually turned me babyface. As soon as I walked out, they booed the piss out of him and cheered me. So I had that little run in Minnesota for 3 years. Then we were coming into New York. You know, Vern Gagne was going to buy TV time on Channel 9 and all up and down the East Coast. That's when Vince Jr. came back and said, hey, brother, you know, I want you to come back to New York. And we had a talk. He came to my house in Minnesota at 5 in the morning. We shook hands, and we did that whole worldwide takeover.